Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL Team Time Trial 116 Tempus Fugit for 2 laps, fast and furious on a flat course. Going to be super interesting here. Dave is back. Everybody's going to be super excited and cheer. Let's see some claps and chat as he was out jet setting and getting some cool content, it sounds like. So, Dave, this is a pretty straightforward course that we have out here today.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back for the first day of school, right? And we're going to just keep it right down the middle on this course. Tempus Fugit, time flies. Well, 37K out here, Nathan, I don't think it's going to fly because you're going to have to stay so focused on your staying aerodynamic as a team. 2 laps, it's going to be pure team time trialing, that's for sure. I want to apologize for my voice. So I haven't been with you, Nathan, going all the way back to Tulsa Tough. And I announced that event alone, and I think I permanently damaged my vocal cords. I really do. Like, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's coming around, but
yeah, I mean, you can when you do. So when you're at concerts, or I mean, I've been in situations. I mean, I remember doing the tour, North American tour with Zwift even, and being on the mic constantly over and over again, and like,
yeah.
I mean, you can kind of really, especially when you're yelling at all day long into a microphone. I can relate a little bit. It'll come around.
Yeah, we normally have 2 announcers there, but I was the only guy this year, right. So kind of double, and coming out of pandemic, right? I hadn't done any live announcing. I'd only been working with you for the last over a year, 14, 16 months, something like that. So, but I did see that as I know we're going to be getting out on course here very quickly, but wanted to note, Nathan, I appreciate how hard you worked while I was away. I was able to collect some great interviews with Zwifters, a lot of folks that we know and love from WTRL, as a matter of fact. So they announced on World of Zwift this week that the show is coming up, and it's going to start next week, and our first guest is Jeff Kabush, a guy that you've raced against and a 3-time Olympian and was part of the Velocio team. That was a lot of fun to watch. Well, they've been racing with us a lot in ZRL. So just to let everyone know, that's what the project was, and I can finally officially announce that. So that's very cool for me.
So awesome. We got a lot of comments coming back. Welcome back, Dave, coming from Debbie Woods Turner. We also see Rogerio saying welcome, as well as the Sherpa man is hanging out there. Good to see. Lots of cheering as well. For specific teams, Crowgen Kestrel's getting a little bit of hype. Just want a couple of things before we jump out on course. We'll take a look at the course profile real quickly in just a moment. But don't forget, next week is the start of the Zwift Classics on July 13th. We got the Yorkshire Grand Prix, the Apple Lap, Crit City Slam, Richmond Challenge, then Watopia Cup, Ronde Innsbruck, and Trofeo Bologna, London International, all the way through August 31st. So make sure to check those out. Sign up. I believe signups have opened up, and we had a couple of tests around those as well. So pretty cool to see what WTRL is up to with them. WTRL.racing, obviously. And we also have our poster competition, and this week it was actually Dave who selected something that's a little bit more amongst the gaming community, I think. And now, Dave, do you know what anime this is? We talked about it a little bit. I sent you a wiki on it, and it's funny because Zuskana, who used to do a show on Zwift Community Live, used this anime's images and things for some of her notifications on the Twitch stream.
Well, I feel bad, Nathan, because everything I know about it, you coached me up on. So I feel like I'm stealing your thunder, or like I would be a phony, to tell you the truth. I thought this was from the Speed Racer vibe, and I guess it sort of is, right? But you hit me to the fact that this is an anime television series that has been extremely popular in that manga series, written and illustrated by Wataru Watanabe. So there's my wiki on that.
Yowamushi Pedal is what this is. Thanks a lot, TFC Hurricane, for throwing this out there. They've been using this as a theme almost every week. So
Nathan, I'm just noticing. So Yowamushi Peduri means weakling pedal. I did not catch that when you sent that to me.
Well, it might be. I wonder if that's because like they're always trying to catch back up or something, or weakling pedal. I think maybe it's like, how do I get stronger at cycling, perhaps. It probably has this, like, who knows?
I
I'm just,
agree.
I'm,
There's a meaning to this that's lost in translation.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how do I become a strong cyclist, kind of a thing. So the Dirty Chronicle, as always, Andy Wiles, Pete Butler. This is Dad versus Diggler. That's what's happening out here, out on course. I like it. Dirt Team always bringing in the Chronicle. So that's our poster competition for this week. Let's take a quick look at the course. The course here this week is going to be Fuego Flats. Anyone who's a part of the Zwift world, if you don't know Fuego Flats, I don't know if you're even Zwifting, because the reality.
How did you ever possibly get involved with Zwift and miss this, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, because a lot of people, when you're just out for just a chill ride, or you're jumping in with Coco Cadence, or or any of the different little group rides, they use this a lot because it's not a difficult course. It might be a difficult course team time trialing because it's full gas every time you're on the front. There's no sometimes climbs can break things up for you a little bit here and there. So this is going to be as time trial as it gets, 2 laps, as you can see. Now, the interesting thing when you use the course profile, this doesn't necessarily give you a good idea because there's not actually a KOM in there. But
it looks so much harder than it actually is when you look at this profile.
But it's 18 meters. So if you look at the actual climbing on the left side, it's just 18 meters rise and back down. So there are little undulations in there.
So, yeah, I mean, again, if you think about it here, this would be your classic fake news of course profiles, where it looks like you're going up Ventoux and then Alpe d'Huez along the way. Again, you're looking at about less than 50 feet of climbing out there.
Yeah,
so
hardly anything.
So,
flattest, literally flattest course in the world of Zwift.
And Nathan, going back to what you're saying, I think for someone who's just starting on Zwift, this is the perfect place to just go ride and get a feel for how fast you can go, making X number of watts, and just kind of learning the ropes out there. Tempus Fugit, place to go. Again, that translates in Latin to time flies. We're going to see who's going to be our fastest team out here. I got to give these teams credit, Nathan. If you're out here racing now, you are really doing your homework for when things ramp back up. And as they say, you reap what you sow. Well, this hard work being done now will really come back and benefit you a little bit later in the season. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think that the teams that are out here right now hammering away, they're gonna get a lot of benefit from keeping fresh with the knack of Zwift team time trialing. And you also, I think, there is a reality also that this has become a part of people's week. Like I go out and I play. If you're part of a basketball league, if you're part of a soccer league, a local pub league or something along those lines, I think that's kind of where this is at this point. Like there's a lot of people that are like, of course I'm doing my time trial this week. What are you talking about? I got to go hang out with the guys. I got to go hang out with the gals. This is my people on a weekly basis. So it's definitely become a tradition, and you can see that as well as those who want to keep sharp because Zwift Racing League Season 4, a few months away at this point, and staying fresh there. And I also know there's some athletes out there that are using this as their weekly intensity still. Like it's a great indoor intensity ride to get some solid threshold effort.
You make some great points there, Nathan. I think really, though, going back to what you said, this is that whether it's trivia night on Tuesday nights, for a lot of folks, this is their social gathering with their tribe. And I love that you're able to keep it going through this time of year. It gets to be more challenging. We'll see a lot of teams that normally would start with 8, 7 riders who might be starting with 5 or 6 here, and that's completely understandable. Keeping that momentum going is a huge part of, I've heard many pro athletes say it, and you can look at it from both sides. Jan Ullrich was famous for letting himself go during the off season and then having these epic battles to get back down to race weight. And other riders would say it's much easier just to stay fit through the winter, do some cyclocross, and not have to go through.
This is so true. I agree with that. I like that way because the epic battle to get back in shape is so hard. And the body can only do that so many times before you're like, just let it, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you build that habit. We're getting a little off, like we got to get down to the race. But building that habit then of that's like what you do. And then one of these like off seasons, you just don't come back. And it's like,
isn't that true? Well, and it's really interesting, Nathan. You look at it when pro riders, men or women, retire, you'll see that it's really 50-50, I think. Half of them will continue riding and stay fit, and cycling is a part of the fabric of who they are and what they do. And others are completely happy to be done with those insane training weeks or doing what I was talking about with Ulrich, where you're like, I'm never doing that again, and get me another Danish. I'm gonna eat. And so I'm always happy for those, like Andy Hampsten. One of the forgotten American Grand Tour winners. I mean, people always remember Le Mans and obviously, Chris Horner winning the Vuelta, but it was in the late 80s that Andy Hampsten won the Giro d'Italia. And that came out of the blue for really the American cycling public. Talk about an unsung hero. And Andy is as fit today, maybe not ready to win the Giro, but you see him out riding his bike, and man, it's really cool to see someone who has stayed just on top of his game.
Yeah, and that speaks to it being a lifestyle, right?
Sure.
Not just a
Not a job.
competition, not a
Yeah,
job.
right.
Yeah, exactly. And
Very good point.
that's a really there's a lot of riders that come to mind in that sense too. Now we are jumping down into the men's latte. We are with the lattes today. That will be the A pen that they are riding out of. We can start getting a look at a little bit of what the times that are coming in at this point. The ECC team here at the coming back through their first time. They already have gone through most of the flat section forward, and now they are on the reverse coming back through the Oasis that's in the middle of the Tempus Fugit here at this point. So it is going to be two guys, Nada at the top, though. Team ODZ, Destroyer of Cookies, ZID Delta, followed up by Cryogen Emus, Engraver there as well. And then it's going to be Valhalla Frate. That is the current situation for the lattes. Team Type 1 Lancets, as well as the Woolly Rhinos and Vikings Valhalla, still to come on through. Very tight racing here at this point, though. They're all within 42 seconds, under a minute, with the amount of time that they are going to be out here today. 37 kilometers. There's plenty of landscape to make up any of those times at this point. And anyone who's gone out, a little bit too hot, they may be back, losing time to some of those who have reserved something. And on this course, I think, no climbs out there, so it's going to be about a pure power engine ramp up. It's more about just the big watts that you can bring, the speed you can bring throughout the entirety of the race.
Yeah, very well put, Nathan. Waiting to see these times. I'm thinking we're going to see another epic Rhinos and Valhalla battle here as well. Do they crack that 14-minute barrier at the 10K check? You note correctly, Nathan, that this course, it's so pure. Without those the climbs that we talk about that can really throw a monkey wrench in the works for these teams. Here, it really is just straight down the middle, the discipline of team time trialing. How much speed can you maintain staying as aerodynamic as possible? I'm thinking that we see something in the 1350s, to tell you the truth, from either the Rhinos or the Vikings here. It's going to be extremely fun to watch, and this one's going to come down to, Nathan, again, I see three teams within 10 seconds of each other when this one is done and dusted here. So this is going to be ECC, the England Cycling Club, Desmondo, Adrian Spratt, Larry Martin, Martin Painter, and Nick M all taking the start here.
Yeah, strong and they are riding under the Ingrave name, I believe, on the list, though. So it is ECC, that is, 100%, and they ride under Ingrave in game for the team time trial. They were the first to go out, 1.0 next to their name, as you can see. They started with 7 riders. They are already down to 5. So a huge amount of effort put in up front. It looks like it seems like 14:34. They are battling by a little under 10 seconds there with Valhalla.
My experience, Nathan, would tell me that would be some technical issues for those riders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would be very interesting to find out, because I am a little surprised that they're down to 5. But at least these 5 now, as they come to the middle part of the course, they are flat out flying. You can see that 14:01 remains our fastest times. Vikings Valhalla slotted in There it is, Nathan. 14:05, putting three teams within 10 seconds as destroyer of cookies there at a 14:10. Only 4 more seconds back to the Deltas. Woolly Rhinos with a 14:19. I'm a little surprised, Nathan, to see them at 18 seconds back. I'd expect them to come charging through the middle part of this race. We're into, really, if this was a hockey game, they'd be into the second period right now.
Yeah, Woolly Rhino is usually a very strong team out there.
They'll
So
come back, I would think, here. It'll be fun to watch, won't it? Can they find the top three today? It's going to be a test.
Viking Valhalla, look at that 14:05 there. I mean, that's a full 14 seconds between them and the Woolly Rhinos. Now, my question is, are the Woolly Rhinos maybe more of a team that likes the climbing? Perhaps
Good
there's
point.
something there that they may be, as you say, Dave, horses for courses. And this may be a course that is not suited to the Rhinos, and that the Vikings Valhalla and Nada like a little bit more of a ruler course. Maybe speak to that a little bit in the reality of cycling world. What kind of the riders that there are out there? I mean, I think there's a lot of people who jump into Zwift who are not necessarily like, we have a lot of cyclists, pure cyclists. I'm 100% with that, but I think there are also some who get roped in by their buddies into the TTT or whatever it is. You're really strong, and they have no idea what a ruler is, what a climber is, what a sprinter is. What are you talking about? What are these people? And I think today is a ruler's course, a pure power course, TT course.
100%. Nathan, that's a great question. What is the perfect team time trial team? Well, to answer that question, you have to know what course are we racing on. With that established, with it being Tempus Fugit today, I mean, the perfect team, you could look at a PO Auto on the men's side of things, Ceramic Speed PO Auto, or on the women's side, Hino, right? Where you have, let's say, anywhere from 4 to 8 riders. Let's just go with 6 as a number of riders who all are of pretty equal ability. If you look at the power profiles from the top teams, you're going to see that they all, basically with the Hino squad, those women are going to be making close to 300 watts when they hit the front, and they'll do that for about 30 seconds and drop off, and their power profiles are incredibly similar. Same thing for PO Auto Ceramic Speed. So it's not, so that's where it's non-intuitive. For a good cycling team, like let's say a team in Tour de France, you want to have riders, as you said, the rouleurs, some climbers, some sprinters, some lead-out guys, somebody like, you need that mix of riders to have a team that has the ability to win in multiple types of stages and in GC battles. Not at all the case with the team time trial team. You don't want diversity out here. As you said, you just want 6 big diesel engines.
Exactly. And those diesel engines, isn't it interesting the way that all works? I mean, when you look at if those who are just getting into the Tour de France and getting into watching cycling, and even here, this is, obviously a broadcast where we're showing off like these different abilities amongst these riders. Today, the successful rider is going to be the big diesel engine. Those who just have pure power on a flat that can produce a high amount of speed. A rider who's lighter, who doesn't have that pure power, they can get up to a certain speed and be competitive, but they're at a certain point, you just don't have the power, and the watt per kilogram isn't going to matter as much as just the pure wattage power on a flatter stage. A bigger rider. I try and hold on to these guys, at the pro level, who are just, they're coming in at 80 kilograms. They're throwing down 450 watts for like 20 minutes or whatever. And we're going 35 miles per hour. And I couldn't do that solo. I can sit on their wheel, but I couldn't do that alone. So that's the rider today, the ruler, the diesel engine. That's what we're talking about when we speak to those things.
And Nathan, so well put, because that climber, a really fit, strong cyclist who is well-rounded in ability, but let's say you were talking about an 80-kilogram rider. Let's go down to the other end of the scale and talk about a 55-kilogram rider that they could stay in the wheels, but they will never be able to take a good hard pull on the front with that team. And that's what you really need, is riders rotating through. That 30-second number, it really is almost perfect when you think about it. Hit the front, keep the if every guy who's on the front is making 500 watts when they're up there, and then rotating off and down in the low 300s when you're sitting on the back of the group and recovering, and just keep going through that process. It's brutal. I mean, it's a lot easier to talk about it, Nathan, than it is to do it. That's for sure. There's only a limited number of human beings that can actually, execute what we're talking about. But when they do, it's a beautiful thing. Team time trialing in my opinion, the most exciting discipline in cycling, to tell you the truth. But you really have to be a purist to appreciate it.
Looking through the comments here, we're getting a little bit of comment, and actually, Dave, Sherpa Dave's letting us know that next week it is going to be the revenge for the smaller riders next week. So
He's right.
Gonna have a little bit of climbing, it sounds like, on the course next week. Gordon Sloan is also saying that he's excited. Can't wait for it, as it's going to be absolute carnage in the TTT. If you do want to jump into the TTT,
I think this.
Go ahead. Dave.
Sorry, Nathan. I was going to say, I think this hurts more, to tell you the truth, though, if you're riding for the win, and look how close it's going to be when we go back to our splits. For some riders, it really is interesting when you look at it from both sides of the coin, because Sherpa Dave, who I absolutely love, enjoy those videos. They're extremely helpful. He is a real asset to the Zwift community. So keep it up, Sherpa Dave. Can we call him just Sherpa?
Probably not. Sherpa. I call him Sherpa.
Okay. Well, he definitely is one of the cool cats out there. And going back, talking about those splits, Nathan, it won't be long until we see the guys coming through. As a matter of fact, some of the teams are already through 20K here, and we'll see. I wouldn't expect to see things change too much. There's our first time coming through. So, Engrave, I see what you're saying, Nathan. That's the England CC team that if you're on Zwift Power, you might be seeing with that 29:01, our first time up on the board here.
Two guys, Nada still holding on, I think, at that 14:01. We'll see if they're able to take on the Valhalla and Team ODZ. I think the team we're looking at here, Delta, ZID Delta, they went out the third slowest, actually. So, they're actually holding pretty tight here. They might have a solid ride here and grab a podium, but they're going to have to bring back a solid 13 seconds to do so.
I have missed this so much, Nathan. It is so good to be back with the WTRL. I see Henry Hardy has a question. So does a team of fit, strong 55-kilogram riders have any chance? And my answer would be next week they do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think next week they do. There is a reality that, and also one thing I would say is that Zwift is a little bit different than in real life too. So Henry Hardy, I think, watts per kilogram, I believe, are rewarded a little bit more in Zwift than not huge. It's not. It's watts per kilogram are. I wouldn't say king. I'd say, like, I don't know. It's a jack, a spades. it's pretty high. But it's a little, I think, a little bit more than in real life, so you can get away with it. But you do have a chance with the lighter riders for sure, a little more than you do in real life in the team time trials. I mean, but if you compare it to in real life, there's reasons why Quintana and these smaller riders, that they need to get a lot of time in the mountains, right? Because in the TTT they just need to hold on to the time that they have gotten. Right. So,
yeah, absolutely. A good way, if you've been watching the Tour de France, Tim Wellens, the rider that they call the Tractor, who's been really helping set up the Mark Cavendish wins, having a team with 7 other Tim Wellens would not be bad, right? On a course like today. But when you look at what we're going to have next week, absolutely, everything changes. And that's why WTRL, I think they do a great job, Nathan, don't they, of mixing up the courses to suit different riders, and it keeps everyone on their toes. That's for sure, and it also it shows you how in the world of racing, how you've got to make the most of the opportunities that you have. No racer, not even Eddie Merckx, is going to win every time that you race, and for most mortals, it's really slim pickings out there. So when the course does suit you, That's when you want to make sure you get a little extra sleep the night before, make sure your oatmeal is just right that morning, and really try to take advantage of every micro detail that you can. Look at this. 28:16, only 2 seconds faster, Nathan. So the DOC, Destroyer of Cookies, they're in 2 seconds quicker than Two Guys Nada. That's going to be what a battle, because it's not far back that you've got the ZID Delta squad at a 28:25. Three teams really separating themselves here so far.
Looking through this team here with ZID as they continue to come through with a 28-25, currently in third place. Solid ride so far from them. This is going to be David Franciscus that we're looking at, level 33 Zwift. He's got 66 races. He's coming out of Indonesia. All of these riders actually coming out of Indonesia. Pretty cool to see. And there's got to be, I'm liking how this is pretty cool. The fashion when it comes to how they have color-coded with the In-Gamba kit alongside with their country flag, and that they're all from Indonesia. They obviously are I would think, a group of riders that all know each other from in real life that jump into this race. I have seen this team out here plenty actually before. I'm looking at, they actually have an Instagram, Zwift Indonesia. This is actually like the Indonesia
Good for them.
team, Zwift Indonesia team. They have a public group actually with 1.8K members, largest Zwift community in Indonesia. From what we're seeing here, I mean, this is a very well organized country team representation. Great to see from these guys.
You know,
I don't read Indonesian though. I don't read. Is it Indonesian that they're speaking? I don't read. What language are they speaking in Indonesia?
So right now, the Republic, I'm looking it up. It's located between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, consisting of over 17,000 islands, including a lot of Americans. I think a lot of us in general would know Sumatra and Java. Well known for coffees, parts of Borneo and New Guinea. It is a massive, massive island nation. It actually is third largest in the world by land area.
Wow.
Huge. Yeah.
That is, I had no idea. That's
17,000 different islands make up Indonesia. That's incredible. Can you imagine governing that? Holy.
We'll have to get them on for an interview. Ask them how they make it happen, right? They speak Indonesian. Bahasa Indonesia is what it's referred to locally, and from what I'm seeing here, 94% of the country speak it.
So they've got 8 riders still going, Nathan, right now, and one good for Indonesian internet. That's for sure. They might be the only team who've got 8 riders out here today, to tell you the truth.
Our Joker here now on the front pulling a solid 4.3 watts per kilogram in a latte crowd. I mean, this guy is
not bad.
No, at 175 beats per minute, he is really smashing himself right now. This is Ruli Bastier, Joker.
So
Joker, and he's 58 kilograms. Speaking of lighter riders, Mr. Henry Hardy.
So Nathan, this team here is only only 9 seconds as we take a look at the splits coming in. 9 seconds off of that time. So they are in the hunt. What a ride from ZID Delta. So Zwift Indonesia Delta. It's ODZ Destroyer Cookies with that 28:16, 2 seconds quicker than Two Guys Nada. These are two teams that we're very familiar with here in our lattes as they're getting down to it as well. 37K of racing out here. So well into the second lap. Team Type 1, the Lancettes, coming through, sitting in 5th now with a 28:39 as we've got a new fast time. Look at that, 27:59. The Vikings are charging right now. Vikings Valhalla, Nathan, that time is outstanding.
Talk about bringing it on second half here. I mean, from 10K to 20K, they went from that 14:05, 4 seconds behind, to now being 19 seconds up over Two Guys Nada. Two Guys Nada, they took the fastest time through the first 10K, but perhaps, as we talk about a lot of times, a little bit too much coal in the fire and stoked it, but now starting to die down a little bit. And now the ramp up, the heat is only rising with Vikings Valhalla at this point, and they have separated themselves from this group.
Want to give all these guys a shout out, the entire team together. Quite impressive job from David Franciscus, who we've been in with quite a bit. You can see Eduardas Janssen also on the team, Echo Exale, Hendra Permadi, Mirza the Kid, I love that name, Putra Trisula, Ruli Baster, that's the Joker that we also have been with. And it looks like, Nathan, a woman on the team, Vicky Kenzie, jumping in here. So good work, Vicky. Vileja Zombia and Anto Kiong making up this team. Very impressive job by the Indonesian squad.
Mirza the Kid, the veteran racer. I'm liking the name Mirza the Kid. I had to highlight that. And level 33 Zwifter. FTP around 202 watts. He's been Zwifting, it looks like, for 51 races in total. And he jumped on actually back in May 6th of 2020 for the Tour for All Stage 1, as well as did the Peter Sagan and Yura Sagan ride. So it was definitely around the pandemic time. It looks like he's jumped on, so a little bit newer to the world of Zwift racing. And but these guys, I've seen them around a lot in the last year, and I think they've really made it a part of their cycling life.
Well, and we're going to hear a lot more from these guys as well. As you can see, they're quite organized. Jumping now into, again, we're with the lattes today. And help me out,
This is going to
Nathan.
be one of the Vikings teams. So there's two Vikings teams out there today, though. So there's Valhalla, and then there's Hrote, Valhalla Hrote. So getting an idea of which ones, we'll have to take a little bit of look through and see where. So Steven Geiser and Stefan Greisman and Sari as well. This is going to be Valhalla Hrote. That's who this is going to be. They're sitting at that 29.39 currently, 9th place overall. A little bit of disorganization. I saw earlier VDP was way off the front and from their team actually for a little while, and a little bit of disorganization. They got to wait up here for Lloyd, or else this just isn't happening. The South African needs to get back on terms. They need 4 riders minimum.
Lloyd. Yeah, Duncan Lloyd, the rider that you're talking about. There's actually 3 South Africans on Valhalla, the TV squad that we're looking at. Duncan Lloyd, George W., and Jaco Norte. So let's see what we've got here. Again, this time of year, it can get tough as far as, well, they did start, it looks like, with 6, I believe.
Yeah, I do believe they started with 6.
Here we go. There's their 4th.
Really, really, really difficult for the mid-race, it seemed like, to keep it all together. They're only, even after this little bit of a disorganization, they are only 38 seconds off of 8th place. They're going to have to really ramp up the second half of this race, though. They've got one more time, the reverse of Tempus Fugit now at this point, and really going to have to ramp up to catch Engrave to try and hold on for at least an 8th place. So right now, currently 9th place at the bottom of the barrel after some disorganization.
So these are the top teams based on their rides from last week that qualify you for Platinum League. There we go. Getting things back together as Lloyd just rejoining the squad here. That's a nice feeling when you have all 4 riders. This, again, with 8 riders, the maximum that you can start with, your time taken off of the 4th rider's wheel. So good to see. It looks like we're getting 5 riders back together here for the Destroyer of Cookies. This is going to be Beard that we're looking at. This team sitting in 2nd right now. So they've got some ground to make up, but we'll see if we can get a surge out of them here. Talking again about ODZ, one of the top teams, without any doubt. Alex Cornwell, Andy Chambers, Brett Elder, Graham Beard, and then Kitan Gadre, the Indian rider. Nathan, I love the international vibe that we've got today, and Simon Pinel, the other rider making up Team ODZ, Destroyer of Cookies.
One of the stronger teams, obviously, today. Sitting in 2nd place at 28.16, trying to hold off Tugas Nada. They still have plenty of firepower amongst them now at this point with 5 riders left. You know, you can come across the line with 4. They've dropped a few off, I think, so far. Oh, no, they started with 5. Excuse me. So this has been the same all the way through. Started with 5 and battling up against the top spot with Valhalla. Also starting with 5, though. Vikings Valhalla and Team ODZ both out here smashing it with 3 less bodies than you can show up with, actually. So solid ride from these guys. Andy Chambers, Alex Cornwell, as you had said there, Brett Elder, Graham Beard, Keaton Godray, and Simon Pinel. See if we get some more information on all of these riders and who they are. And
They look
I mean,
great.
ODZ is just one of the longest standing teams in the Zwift racing community. This is one of the first kits that have ever showed up in game. Actually, they have been amongst the esports crew. They've had riders. ODZ early on were one of the main teams that were represented at the live events as well that were happening. I think, if I'm not incorrect, sure, Fugit may have ridden for them for a little while. I mean,
really?
This team really has some depth and history.
Really a teaching moment right now, Nathan. You see how they have not gotten out in front of their skis making this pass. They've stayed steady. Rather than surging and putting riders into trouble, they're going to go by as a unit. Let's see if they can get cleanly by here. It is really hard to pass in this situation. And now you want one surge. Hopefully, this is a very impressive job right now. They were able to just stay on the gas, but not overcook it there. That's the kind of ride that gets you on the top step of the podium. Wild Thing, showing some real class out here right now. That was a nice pass there.
I'm looking for Wild Thing in game here, but I have no idea who Wild Thing is on Zwift Power though. Amongst these riders, maybe I'll be able to sift it out, as I don't have any other name out there, actually. But Simon Pinel, I know who that is. He's coming out of Canada. This is going to be S-Pin on the front here. He is a level 50 Zwifter. Obviously been at this for quite a long time. And I've got 9 pages of results, actually, going all the way back to December 9th of 2016, actually. Way back, EVR Americas. I mean, I'm seeing BRS Crit Race. These are some of the oldest of the old school races. I mean, he was even doing the Primal Europe Friday Criterium race series that we were covering for a while back in 2017. So Simon Pinel, he's been around the crew for a long time, and great to see him out here hammering away with the Destroyer of Cookies. What I want to know is how many cookies, Simon, since 2016 have been burned through your Zwifting. We're not doing pizzas. We want to know the Destroyer of Cookies here now with that name.
I would guess that a cookie and a slice of pizza calorically are pretty close. They got to be in the same neighborhood.
Huh. Yeah, I think, piece of pizza and one cookie? Are we talking like one of those gigantic cookies?
What kind of cookie?
Yeah,
exactly.
Are we talking like a cookie from the mall? Are you talking like one of those where you build the cookie kind of a thing?
Yeah, so, to clarify there, I guess I'm saying your one Pepperidge Farm Sausalito cookie would be my sort of right average cookie size. We'll see. We'll do some research. We'll get the team on that. They don't have time to think about it right now. They're deep in the pain cave here, Nathan. ODZ with about 6K to go out here. You can see this is a 37K full gas. Not an easy effort, that's for sure.
We have a great question coming through, and I think we've answered this one time before, but I'm forgetting the answer. And what's interesting is the flag is not coming through on Zwift Power.
Antarctic flag.
Is that an Antarctica flag or what?
I'm trying to. I'm looking myself right now.
Yeah,
so on the Valhalla TV team.
Yeah, it's on the Valhalla team, and I'm looking through and seeing that over on Zwift Power, it doesn't actually register as a name for the flag either.
So I don't know that this will show my naivete, but is Antarctica is not a nation, is it?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't think it is a nation. I mean, I get it's a place, but I believe it's like we share that with like a United Nations kind of thing.
Interesting to see.
This happens to us every week, doesn't it? Where we find out exactly what Dave Towle doesn't know.
Well, now we're finding out what Nathan doesn't know either. So back in with 2 guys. Nada, good to see them still hammering away. And they came through with a 14:01 at the beginning, were the fastest. Then they slipped back into third place, actually, behind Destroyers of Cookies that we're looking at right now. We're waiting for these teams to come through for their next checkpoint. Currently, the Destroyer Cookies do have the fastest time. We'll see if they can hold on to that, though, because it was Vikings Valhalla that were screaming through the course at the 20K mark. So, you guys not still in it for a podium spot. They do have, it looks to be, 5 riders left. Well, they started with 7, so they've obviously been burning some matches as quickly as they possibly can, but 42.59 now, actually, for 2 guys. So it looks like slipping backwards a little bit. And ZID Delta, they're coming on strong second half here. I mean, they were 28-25, 28-18 versus 2 guys Nada, and they've now overtaken 2 guys Nada. So ZID Delta, the Indonesians, getting a little bit of pep in their step in the back end of this course.
Well, I tell you what, this time coming in from Valhalla here, Vikings Valhalla, Nathan, if it goes sub 42.20, I think that they're going to be in really good shape. But if it's over 42.20, we are going to have a battle royale because that will just motivate the DOC, the Destroyer of Cookies, even more. So that 42.29 is the fastest time. I don't know that that remains our fastest time once the Vikings come rolling through. And again, that would be Vikings Valhalla that I'm talking about. Oh, it's going to be touch and go out here. The pride of Portugal. Love seeing this flag. Well, I mean, this is the most international field that I think we've ever seen, to tell you the truth, out here today for our lattes. Getting down to it, too.
Diaz for 2 guys here, flying at the front. He's a level 44 Zwifter coming out of Portugal, obviously. And this rider's been around for quite a long time. We're looking at, well, actually, he just races a lot. Like, he's been around since April 6th, 2020, but it looks like he's absolutely hooked as there's 6 pages of events since then. Really cool to see here from Diaz. And it looked like he was getting a little bit motivated through this section of course. Like, come on, boys. This is the one significant riser, I'll call it, not a climb, throughout the whole course here, Dave. This little oasis does have a 2 to 3% gradient, real short, but you can gain some time through there. He did gap his team a little bit, trying to encourage them perhaps or get them to grab the wheel and just up that speed, because I think he does see at this point that they're a little behind for that podium.
And that would be, Nathan, a spot where you would want your strongest couple of riders to be on the front of the team and take extra long pulls through that sector there, taking advantage of their strength. It's really hard to do, but that would be a perfect example of a place where going a little bit deeper for your top riders would make a difference of a second or two, and that's going to be the difference out here today. And let's see, still waiting for that time from Valhalla, 42.29. Fastest from ODZ. That check comes very late in the race. By the time that check is recorded, they're inside of 7K to go.
That is a flag for Antarctica, but it's not a nation, so it doesn't show up. But it's a flag for Antarctica. So I'm wondering if this rider is stationed there, if that's what's going on there, perhaps. Interesting to see. We'll have to see if we can get some information on what's happening here with that.
That would be a WTRL highlight. The day that an Antarctica-based rider, I think it's called Port McMurtry, something like that. It's an international science research station there.
Absolutely awesome. Vikings Valhalla 41.55, Dave. They continue to dominate on the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's going sub 42. Outstanding here. So now for them, it's about maintenance. They're in good shape, but this battle for second, let's see what we've got. Now everybody is through, so that 42.29 looks like ODC, Destroyer of Cookies, in pretty good shape for the silver medal here. If they can hold on for the next few K, 42.50, that's probably the closest battle of our Indonesian team. Zwift Indonesia Delta, 42.50, 9 seconds quicker than the Portuguese squad, Tuga Zinata there, and they're only 2 seconds ahead of Team Type 1 Lancet. So that's the sweet spot when you look at the real battles going on here late in the race for our lattes here in the WTRL in full effect here for the final few Ks of racing.
Coming out of Wales, going to be the Chimp. Riding for Cryogen Emos. These guys were featured a couple weeks back, and it's good to see them back out here hammering away. It's going to be Schaff, Herman, Dutton, still all together. So are there only 4 riders, though, left here as Martin Schaff, the Chimp, Dutton, and Herman try to bring back some time. They're sitting in 7th place with a 43-28. They could bring back some time to take over 6th place, as the Woolly Rhinos are struggling on the day. I have a feeling that we hit the nail on the head there. Either the Woolly Rhinos are just having a bum day for their legs, or they're more of a dynamic gradient course type team.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see if we can get some answers about that. But I mean, Woolly Rhino is usually one of the top squads. There's also the reality that this is usually a very tight race with the lattes too. So it does swap a lot between these teams about who is winning week in and week out. Very familiar names across the board though with them. But the Emos, as we look at them, going to try and get across the line. They have lost one rider, it looks like, throughout the race today as they look to finish up their final few kilometers. They're into their last 3K to go.
I'm a little surprised, Nathan, that it's not closer, to tell you the truth. These time gaps, if you look at it, it's about half a minute from our separating the teams up here on the podium. I expected it to be more like a few seconds, to tell you the truth. So it really speaks to the outstanding performance from Vikings Valhalla out here today. This is team
I'd have to
type
agree
1.
with that. This is a little more separated than usual, I think, with the lattes.
Yeah. Flo Burridge out here, one of the Lancets racing. Way to go, Flo. John Murray, Julian Beyer, Kim Lambach, and Robert Smith, along with Vance Nall, making up the team type 1 squad. Always good to see them out here. That's going to be Lambach that we're with.
One thing I want to notice here, Dave, is the difference in country flags here. There's a lot of different country flags, and what's bringing them together is going to be their relationship to diabetes and living with that and cycling with that and overcoming that challenge. So, there's with the Indonesian squad, we see country flags bringing them all together. Valhalla with the Vikings, you see all the Norwegian flags there below, as we'll check them out in just a second. But then we have people from all over the world here who are all overcome the reality of living with diabetes.
Yeah, for sure. Flo is a type 1 diabetic, Flo Burridge. And yeah, I think it's so she was one of the 6 that started here. But Nathan, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's fascinating. Sometimes it's moms or dads that bonds people together here. Diabetes has been one of the more interesting ways of folks finding their tribe, for lack of a better term, of folks to ride with. It's extremely cool.
Still with about 2K to go, they'll go to the turnaround point and look for their time as they come across the line. They're sitting in 5th place. They are only 2 seconds off for Tugas Nada, so they could even still take a 3rd place podium, actually, team type 1. They've got a lot of bodies left. They could burn some matches here as they are sitting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders. Is there 6 riders, actually? Is Julian still in the back? No, 5 riders left here. They could let one grow. One rider could just put in one last-ditch effort, completely sacrifice themselves, and let the others sprint to the line as they come into their last 2 kilometers. They see the other riders passing them by on the other side of the course, because that is the turnaround point right here. You'll see this little figure 8 here that they do, or not figure 8, but this little loop here, come back the other direction right into the sprint on Tempus Fugit.
You make a great point, Nathan. You're talking about a next level technique that teams can use, sacrificing a rider late in the race. What a perfect week to do that. Even if it backfires on you and it doesn't work out, it's really good to start that process of learning the repetition and understanding how to do exactly that. You're operating at a higher level when you can do things like that. So let's see what they can pull off here. Team Type 1 is in a real battle. I mean, and you know what? You've got nothing to lose here, to tell you the truth, Nathan. You're 2 seconds off of that time that the Portuguese team, Tugas Zanata, has. Why not go for it? Even if you go, go big and miss, you still got a little bit of a buffer behind the Woolly Rhinos out here today. And it looks like they're trying exactly that. It's really hard to execute a plan out here late in the race, and they're down inside of 1K to go. It's full gas now.
It really is. Look at Smith here taking a pole now at the front, getting a little bit of a gap. The other riders need to get back on terms. It's not really helping with that gap now at this point. But it looks like Baiji's going to try and pull things back together as Team Type 1 try to take down a podium spot. We'll have to wait for the results to know. We'll look at them pretty quickly here and then hop on over to the women's race. We'll go back and forth between the two. It's always nice to see what's happened immediately after we cover the main or the men's/mixed race and then jump back on over to the women. It is Valhalla chasing them down 33 seconds back at this point. So Valhalla obviously with a little bit better time than Team Type 1 and maybe going to take down the win out here today. It'd be very difficult for anybody, I think, to bring back that over 30 seconds that they had gapped themselves. There is the finish line. It is right underneath the rock here, outcropping that they will go under. The top squad on the day, this is going to be Vikings Valhalla. I believe they did catch the Rhinos, as here are the Rhinos. So Rhinos having a rough day out there today because they started just in front of Vikings Valhalla, but Valhalla catching them and gapping them, gaining a full minute and a half actually on the TTT for them. Now up and out of the saddle, it's going to be Hansen here, 8 watts per kilogram as Valhalla kill it to the line. Last ditch effort for the Norwegians. And I think they just took down a win in number 116 for the team time trial. 116 races, Dave.
Wow.
On a weekly basis, that's 52 times 2. That's a little bit more than that, right? We've been at this
more than that even, yeah.
Over and we haven't, Dave. Me and you, Dave, are at this for a little over a year, but the amazing work here from WTRL to have 116 and largest event on Zwift on a weekly basis, week in and week out. That and the ZRL that they run, it's just amazing the work that they've put into this.
I agree. It's hard to imagine that it's just a little over 2 years ago that they started with under 10 teams showed up for the first ever WTRL. And it has become a really important part of a lot of folks. I was a little surprised to see a guy running. What was he doing out there?
Well, okay, so I can show you real quick. We can actually jump on over there. And so the runner.
It's the first runner I've seen.
In the background there. So you might, let's see, where is he? There he is.
There he is.
Sure. Yeah, running right on by. So he's out there running. You can't because we left the event. So since we left the event, we see everybody out on course. We're out into the real world. We're in the real world now. I like that.
So once you cross that finish line, all of a sudden,
everybody shows up. Yeah, you get dumped back out. Yep.
So that runner must wonder what is going on here as he goes cruising through. Hey,
well, that section, of course, because all of a sudden, all these people will start showing up out of their event. Yeah, they'll just start populating. Yeah, they'll just hear what's happening there.
It's some kind of portal for exhausted human beings. They get pumped into the world right here. So, hey, Vikings Valhalla, that was a heck of a ride out here. As we said, typically you see it comes down to a second or two. It was more like half a minute that separated them from the best of the rest out here today. So way to go by one of our two Vikings teams, the Valhalla squad, getting it done.
We have a question coming in from, as we wait for the results, this is a great question to answer about the Zwift Classics for next week. Definitely want to continue to let everybody know if you're just tuning in. Don't forget about this. July 13th will be the first one, Yorkshire Grand Prix. 3 laps for the A's and the B's, 2 laps for the C's and the D's. Definitely an awesome course. Zwift Classics, as you can see, all the way through August 31st. Something to do in the summers throughout August as we look forward to the Zwift Racing League Season 4. Now, this is going to be individuals, though. There will be different point sections out there. Make sure to head on over to WTRL.racing. It is not team scored. It is individual scored, though, for the Zwift Classics. We will be covering the question, if we'll be covering the Classics, we will be. We will schedule those streams as soon as possible. We're waiting to see how signups go. It does look like we'll have some APAC coverage as well as some European coverage, though. So be on the watch out for those streams to be put out there as soon as possible. Just waiting for some of the signups and just making sense of where things are going to land when it comes to what to cover for the community out there today. As you know, Dave's showing up, and there's if there's 5 people in an event and we're covering it versus if there's 100 people in an event and we're covering it, we want to just make sure that things go well on that front. So back in the real fake world, as the Sherpa Dave is saying, still cheering on Cryogen as well. We're here and they're over at Morgan Eldridge. Good to see Morgan. hanging out in the chat here. So, looking at the women's race, let's go ahead and jump on over to there as we do have them out on course. Again, we are covering the lattes, so we are going to be in with the Vienna lattes today. We've got a pretty solid showing, actually, amongst the women. Very cool to see. And the first team that we are going to be jumping in with is going to be Cryogen on the women's side of things. So Cryogen with Gladden here on the front. They are 16.5 kilometers in right now, and they've still got, it looks like, 7 riders hammering away. Heidi, it looks like this is gonna be. Is this gonna be the snow geese? I'm gonna make sure I got that right. But in the name, I do see snow geese. Once in a while, though, they do keep names that were around from other events at times. But look at this list, Dave. Women's racing on Zwift, and we've got 11 teams that had signed up, 10 that have shown up. I mean,
that's all.
This just speaks to the reality. I think we have more teams here than on the men's side of things. Like, this is so great.
Well, I'm not surprised, to tell you the truth. You know, they've talked about that field of dreams principle. If you build it, they will come. And Zwift has really embraced female athletics and empowering women. I point no further than Tour de France for women avec Zwift. That's just exactly who Zwift is as a company, doing something like that. And I really think that when I was talking about you reap what you sow, Nathan, well, I think we're starting to really see the numbers. And perfect example. I'm sure there's a lot of people like Kate Verno at Zwift headquarters that are extremely excited to see. I mean, look at these teams. And in no way is this a put down to the men. They're doing really well themselves. But this is awesome to look at. One of the world's top teams, Cryogen here, and look at this pass coming through like a locomotive right now. Holy cow, Nathan. So this is the Rockies team that I am just picking up on here, and they are killing it. So is the herd team using mountain ranges now, is my guess?
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm going to try and get an idea of what's going on here. Elaine Hardiment, Herd. I believe this is one of the riders is going to be Elaine, but I'm not absolutely positive. Hindle, yeah, Elaine Hindle is here as well. So yes, I believe. Now the other thing is Rock Hopper Penguins was one of their names though too. So perhaps that has something to do with it. Because you can't really maybe spell out Rock Hopper Penguins.
Sure, that's kind of tough. So, yeah, I didn't know that there was such a thing. There. Yeah, that's a cool name for a type of penguin, and it makes sense. So this is going to be Debbie Thomas, Deborah Holly, Elaine Hardiment, Elaine Hindle, Karen Brennan, Katie Ryder, the Irish rider, El Ranique. Let's see here from the United Kingdom, Rebecca Bonsall, and then another Irish rider, Annette. That would be Annette is actually racing with Cryogen. So there we have it, our herd of rock hopper penguins. And I could see now, Nathan, so the Rockies is their nickname. I thought we were talking about the mountain range that's right behind me here in Colorado, but no, it's the rock hopper penguins. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, and looking here, that's going to be, if you haven't seen Happy Feet, and and I believe Robin Williams played the rock hopper penguin, who was like the matchmaker. He was like the matchmaker of all of the, how do you find love kind of a situation, and he sang a lot in Happy Feet. So about that. So this is going to be the rock hoppers. There they are, hammering away. Nice job. I'm liking. Do you know what a rock hopper? Like, look at that. That's hair. These are the coolest penguins in the world, I think.
Oh, wow.
Look at these guys.
Wow, they've got some pizzazz.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Have you seen these before? That's
my
first ever.
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, they're a part. Right. You've never seen Happy Feet, I guess, huh? Like they.
I have not. No.
No. So, anyways, the kids' cartoon, obviously, but they're definitely. I think it was the rock hoppers. There were also like a group of rock hoppers, I think, too, that were in that show. Anyways, there was a lot of penguins, and you learned about a lot of different penguins and Antarctic wildlife in those movies. And we probably watched it 50 times in my household, maybe 100 with the kiddos. So they absolutely loved Happy Feet. And there was lots of dancing, lots of singing in my household around that.
It sounds like a high energy crowd favorite.
It is a very high energy crowd favorite. It is. It's a musical in a lot of ways too. So lots of singing going on. So good to see the Rockies hammering away at the front of this race. In some ways, that is going to be sitting in 6th place. They were the 4th to go out, which means they were the 4th. Well, they're at mid-pack starters, it looks like, at a 15:46, currently trying to bring back the Evo Meteors. Cryogen Mockyburns right behind them, about 8 seconds back. And then WTRL, what's up? They're 4 seconds back from them in 8th. So we'll keep on making our way through all of the riders. Crush Pod are out there crushing it. We'll jump in with them in a little bit here. They're actually, the reason that they're at the top of the list here right now is because they're going the other direction, and riders nearby start showing up when they are going the other direction. So back in with Cryogen. Now we're in with the Electrons. ART, always love to see them out on course. The Electrons, very strong riders. They are currently sitting in 2nd place overall, always on the watch out for how they're going to perform as they are trying to take on the Evo Comets and Crush Pod, as well as Z-Scott Elba. That's the main race, it looks like, for those top 4 spots, Dave.
Yeah, ART here with Joe Hussey, Kat Tompkinson, Ms. Scotty, and Rachel Tompkins on that team. They started, actually, I'm missing a rider because it looks like they do have 5. I only had 4 in front of me here. Figure out who I'm missing there. All racing out of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, perhaps
Go
there
Electrons.
may have been, they may be at the bottom of the list, perhaps, without a name in there. Maybe what's happening. We'll see if we can figure that one out.
Oh, possibly might be this Meteors rider here. MF.
Sarah Sorry, Rachel Tompkins, Kath Tompkins, Joe Hussey, and Elizabeth Scott. That's what I've got, I believe. And the number of TTTs, looks like the most experienced rider amongst them is going to be Kath Tompkins that we're looking at. We're looking at our Tompkins as well.
What are the odds that you would have a Tompkinson and a Tompkins
I thought
on the
there
same
was a
team?
I thought there was a relationship, but then I saw the son on there, so perhaps not. Interesting to see. 37 races though.
Yeah. We'll work on that one as well. 15:06, the quick time from Evo Comets there to put them on top of the table right now. 15:14. It's this is what you'd expect, to tell you the truth. We're talking about the ART, the Atomic Racing Team Electrons. They're right in the mix here. Just 8 seconds back. Crush Pod doing what Crush Pod does. 15:21 their time, but it's close as they've got Z Scott Alba at 15:24. It's only 3 seconds back off of that rolling podium spot there. But again, 15:06, the quick time. But it stacks up quite nicely here with Evo Meteors in with the 15:34. They're only 10 seconds behind Alba there, Nathan. So let's see, starting to get some times coming in now from 20K check, 31:12, quickest time right now.
31.
That's Meteors.
26. The Rockies still pretty close there. Not a lot has changed between those two teams at this point. A little bit of a gap here with Evo Meteors opening things up. So it looks like we're going to be on that trend between them. The Comets, though, they were the fastest. So the Meteors and the Comets here, they are battling for the top spot still. Evo really showing up with a doubleheader here on these two teams to try and take down this Vienna Latte crowd. Real quickly here, as we wait for these next times to come in, I do know a lot of the riders here for the race that we did just cover are most likely waiting in for some of our results. So we can go ahead and bring in just for the men's lattes here real quickly, as that was wow. And I mean, the reality of what happened here, I mean, this is pretty amazing what Valhalla was able to pull off here real quickly. And we'll go through all the results a little bit later on, but I just wanted to make sure, as those who are waiting for what we did just cover, Zone 1 with Ether 2, though, able to snatch that podium spot from the Indonesian team. The Indonesian team, they ramped it up and able to take down Two Guys Nada, but it was the battle between Destroyer Cookies and Vikings Valhalla, but they just walked away at the end in the final few K, it looks like. So that's the situation currently without the rest of the zones coming in for the rest of the day. We'll go back through the results, but for those of you who were wondering at the end of the event that we did just cover, this is how things ended up playing out. Back in with the women's racing, though, as they are making. Oh, and it looks like we are perhaps losing a couple of riders here for just a moment. Maybe a couple of dropouts, perhaps.
We will figure that out. I'm going to go back and take a look at the Evo Comets time at 30:06 here. Outstanding ride from the Comets. Is it looks like they watched what the Vikings Valhalla were doing out here, and they're pretty much replicating that with pretty close to a 30-second advantage, make it 28 seconds quicker at 20K than ART Electrons at a 30:34. Only 1 second, though, Nathan, back to Z Scott Alba there as we try to figure out what's going on here with the Electrons.
Yeah, maybe on our end here, but interesting enough, I do have Tompkinson still, so usually that means that we'll see if we can find the rest of the riders out here in just a moment. Perhaps Tompkinson losing. There we go. I think perhaps sometimes when the rider that we are on happens to lose their internet connection, it will cause the rest of the riders around to disappear. I have a feeling maybe Tompkinson didn't see everybody like we did for just a moment. Might have made things a little bit difficult for just a second here. But going back to Crush Pod, yeah, suddenly you don't see anybody.
Back to Crush Pod. Oh, boy. Same thing. Now, with Crush Pod, this is Longhammer that we're looking at. This team has been more than impressive, as it looks like riders starting to pop up there. There's Robson coming through. You can see they're right in the mid-threes as far as the watts that they're making there with Crush Pod. There's the whole squad together here. This is a very talented team that we're looking at now. We'll be seeing. So they were close, 15:21. So 15 seconds back at check one. Let's see what we've got as they will be already through check two. So we should see that populate pretty quickly here. See how close it's going to be.
Do we have two Crush Pods out here today? I think it's just one, I think. As they came through the 15.
Looks like one. Yeah.
Solid crowd, though. They've got, for Crush Pod, it looks like 7 riders. 44 Evo Comets, I think, are just walking away today. From what we're seeing here, I think they're unstoppable. And they were 4th seed, so it's not like they were the top seed coming in.
This course really suits, Nathan, the teams that have got their team time trial squads dialed. As far as the techniques, it really pays off out here. I mean, actually, Crush Pod looks pretty darn good right now themselves here.
They've got a lot of riders left, too. There's a lot of landscape to work with. There's 16K, 15K-ish left to go. So all the way down Tempus Fugit, all the way back here at this point. There's still a solid 20 to 30 minutes of racing. There's plenty of time to make up here. Bringing back the amount, though, that's been opened up at this point, we're looking at, mid 30 seconds or so. Going to be tough, but, Evo Comets got 5 riders versus we out of Crush Pod with 7. So they do have an advantage there. If they're able to use the bodies that they have on course here very well, burn some matches well, and use the tactics well, nothing's impossible at this point, I think, for Crush Pod.
So, I mean, really, Nathan, you hit the nail on the head there, because what that means is riders, short, hard pulls here. We just need to go, 1K per hour faster as our average speed. If we can spread that work out amongst this group, it's doable. We can't ask one rider to do that, but if everybody leans in, puts a little elbow grease into it, maybe we can do something special here. It's not out of the question, but Evo Comets, Nathan, again, it looks like they are channeling the champion standard today. A 30:06 it's almost 30 seconds quicker than the Electrons, and they're having a good day. They're going to be in a real battle here with Z Scott. Z Scott just 1 second back here at 20K. These teams are already motoring through 23 and a half. So it's going to be interesting to see. Evo Comets is going to be really hard to overhaul them out here, Nathan. But the battle that we've got for second, third, even fourth right now, Crush Pod, they're within striking distance for the silver medal. The gold, that might be out of reach, but you never know, do you?
I want to give a quick shout out to this team, two guys that have shown up on the day and are out here hammering away. Good on them. They showed up with 3 racers on the day. They're still getting it done. Soraya Sousa, it's gonna be Sophia Tara, and then girl Kamakasi, Annabelle Narciso. I have a feeling that perhaps they showed up and only had 3 though. Start. We had more signed up. It looks like, but only could start with 3. I really, I love to see the dedication though that comes in from these riders, and big shout out to them. Big shout out to them. As Sousa now looks to try and hang on. They've got to finish with their 3 though that they did start with. It looks like she's off the back here a little bit now at this point, so they're gonna have to weld the back. Oh no, she's actually off the front. Excuse me. As Ignacio and Pedrosa look to try and grab back on. So level 18 Zwifter Soraya Sousa, they're coming out of Portugal. 26 races underneath her belt. She's actually just started back in looks like December of 2020. Very new drifter with the Slovenian Zwift League, and the WTRL is really what she got into in February of this year. Cool to see, and she's raced almost every one it looks like since, and jumped into Platinum League in March pretty quickly.
Good for her. Two guys has really come on strong. As a matter of fact, they've become one of the cornerstone teams, I would say, in the WTRL with representation in multiple different races. What's happening here? Looks like a dropout.
Dropout? Or no, she was waiting for her teammates, but waited just a little bit too much. The speeds went too low. Now it's going to be full gas to get back on terms all over the road, the disc organization here. So now up into 4.2. Really big watts here being thrown down to catch back on. I think she will do it. I think she's the stronger of the riders here. So really big effort going to be coming in from Sousa here at this point to jump back on with her rider. She will do so. And then it's going to be 2 guys with 3 to try and finish it up today.
And as you said, Nathan, even though they won't get an official time here, it's all about heart. There she is, storming back now. And now shooting past. We'll get this figured out.
We got the yo-yo effect going on here.
The human pendulum, I would call her. So this is going to be...
Is this Watts Up, I think? Not the draft. Yeah, it is. It is Watts Up.
Or the drafting dinos.
I think the drafting dinos did not
I'm sorry. I see
today.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
yep.
So I believe this is going to be Watts UPC. And Murphy on the front for WTRL in the neon and black, as it's going to be Shambler looking to maybe pull on through 37 kilometers per hour, 153 watts right now. But Shambler here now coming through at 144 beats per minute. So it looks like everybody pretty comfy toward the front, depending on max heart rates, though. As
good for them.
Yeah, having a solid ride, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Stacy Murphy. Good to see her solid ride out here today. Zoe Patterson, Pamela Chamber, Laura Casey Goff, and also on the team, Almari de Melander, along with the Canadian Julie Lawrence. So what's up here? Rolling strong. 6 riders still together. That's a great sign as they're honing their craft out here today in the WTRL.
Good to see Hans-Peter Kurz hanging out in the chat. Good to see you and appreciate your comments and bringing them on in. Always great to have everybody that does show up on the day. Looking through these teams now, and from what we can see, it looks like Z. Scott Alba and Adam Racing Electrons are in a very close head-to-head battle. We'll see if we can find Alba out on course here as well. As we take a look here at the WTRL team that have seemed super, super organized, actually. But he's got Alba, Adam Racing. We took a look at the Electrons. They were going strong. But, if Alba's got anything left in the tank here, they are threatening for the second half for a second place.
And I think that they've got 7 riders still. Actually, maybe 6 riders still together. And there we go, the all-Scottish team. This is Ashley Jolly, Fee Dav, Christina Ross, Laura McFarlane, Lou Prez, Mahoney Walker and Susan Graham all took the start for Z Scott. We've got the Scottish squad, the Portuguese team, a real international affair, and this throwdown going on now. 37K of total racing. It's 2 laps around Tempus Fugit here today for our Platinum League teams. These are the cream of the crop from last week's race. And Nathan, we're getting down to it here now. Again, in with McFarland of the Z Scott team. You can see, though, that they are 1 second out from that check, and that check was quite a while ago.
They are
so we're going to be refreshing
Towle, 30 level 30 Zwifter here, and you can see that 177 beats per minute right here. Her max heart rate is 184. She is only 7 beats off of the max that we have ever seen from her in Zwift. That is smashing it right now. She is not holding back at all, Ashley.
No, that's a great sign for this team, Nathan. When you hear that, that means they are firing on all cylinders. There is no more speed that they can eke out here. They are flat out flying. If this isn't enough, they're just going to have to go back and train harder, because they are certainly putting all of their heart into this one.
They just went flying by Cryogen just now.
Killing it.
This is really there. And I think they've saved up for the second half here. I have a feeling that this is like the ramp up coming in from them, from what I'm seeing.
My heart goes out to the electrons. If the electrons are holding these women off, we have got an epic battle on our hands. That check is at 30K, so it's really just about 1K from now that we're going to start. So we'll start updating here on our, that third and final check before the finish. But it is hard to imagine that these women are not closing it down.
Now, this is interesting. Laura McFarlane, this is a rider that has no Zwift Power history. She just signed up for Zwift Power, actually. So as far as racing goes and WTRL goes, this is her first go at it. And she might be taking a win in the lattes here. Or at least maybe not a win, but a podium spot. And her only other race here at this point, from what we can see, is going to be the Monday's Mountain Massive TT. So that's back on the 5th.
I mean, to jump into the WTRL at this level, and I mean, look at the speed that they're carrying. That is an exceptional ride for someone that is in a debut performance out here. Unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing job here coming in. Now, we also do have Lou Prez coming through. She's coming out of Scotland, obviously, as well. Level 28 Zwifter. Hammering away, so good on her. And we're seeing, as far as her results go, again, another rider coming in 2020. And the WTRL for her, it looks like, is going to be something a little bit newer. I don't think she actually started doing WTRL races until just the last couple of months. The first one that we're seeing was back on in January of this year. So 6 months or so of jumping into them and getting picked up by perhaps Z Scott at that point. I wonder if Z Scott was formed around that time, perhaps. And this was one of the ways that they were going to get involved. The name of WTRL and the TTTs get out there, and boom. Next thing you know, you got all these riders who are jumping in.
I mean, if you told me that this team, Nathan, that we're looking at on screen, again, this is Z Scott, had a year's 50 races under their belt, I would say that sounds about right. They look like a team that has got this really figured out. Now, they are starting to push here. You can see on today's course, there's only a couple little risers out here, basically as flat as you're going to find in the world of Zwift. And boy, a pure effort at an extremely high level out here from Z Scott. So they've gone through that check now. It's only a matter of time, just kind of waiting for the machine to kick in and start updating here. The Evo Comets have been riding out of their skin today with that 30.06 at the check. I'm not expecting anyone to overhaul that time, but what's going to be interesting is going to see, and don't want to sell Adam Racing ART short here, as they are in a pitched battle right now with the squad that you've got on your screen, the women in blue, that being Z Scott. So again, if ART is holding off the Scottish women, it just speaks volumes of how deep they're digging out here. This is what we're all looking for, the WTRL. No doubt about it. when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel as they are right now, this is where you really find those gains, as you do not dig deeper than these women are out here right now. McFarland, we're talking about this rookie to the WTRL having an exceptional ride. Way to make a statement out here today.
Just want to really quickly highlight something here that I found. I mean, this is pretty amazing. I haven't done, be honest, like a ton of research on the background of this team, but Zwift Scotland is home of Scottish cyclists with a passion for Zwift. Join and shape our cycling community, group rides, sport teams, racing and teams, and more. They have a quite good organization, actually, and talk about. I mean, this is one of the only teams. There's others out there that are at a high esport level that'll do things like this, but they've got their own website. They have their own. They talk about the events that they do beginning March 2020. Our weekly club ride
Very
on Zwift.
pro.
The Zwift Racing League is there. What they're doing with WTRL with the team time trial. I mean, they've got their own Facebook group. I mean, Zwift Scotland, huge kudos to you. They've got. I mean, this is very, very professional, very well done, and you can see why they've suddenly shown up just this past year, and bam, like there they are on the scene. Well done. This is shout out to Zwift Scotland.
This is where riders like Beth McEver come from. I mean, she's without a doubt one of the best e-racers in the world right now. She's notched a few massive wins in the ZRL.
All I can think about is 10% gradients and flying up them like a mountain goat when I hear Beth McEver.
She's amazing, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. She's got a kick on her too. She's got quite the kick on her too when it comes to a sprint. So climber and a sprinter in a lot of ways. So Scotland's definitely most likely making them all proud with McEver.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I really like you highlighting the team though and showing the great work that they're doing. You know, Nathan, I was talking about two guys as well. You kind of get a similar vibe coming out of Portugal, don't you? Where they're really well organized, very supportive. It looks like a great landing spot for someone who wants to get into. So it's one thing to make that leap of faith and get into Zwift and have a lot of fun with it, but for those folks that want to go another level deeper and get into racing, having a team like Z Scott or two guys makes a huge or Cryogen for that matter. And now that I think about it, actually it was Beth McEver came through Cryogen as well. So yeah, it's just really nice to see how these teams help develop the talent that goes all the way to the top of the pyramid. This is going to be the Evo Meteors that we're looking at. Now, this is so Evo Meteors, Evo Comets. I think it's a hybrid team because this is our fastest team out on course right now, Nathan, that we're looking at here. Or is it?
I think this is going to be the Meteors. I have a feeling, but I'll try and get an idea here and let you know because there are two Evo teams out on course. Apologies on that.
There are. I apologize.
Yeah, so let's real quickly. I do want to highlight to everybody, and a lot of times the guys over and gals over on Twitch do not get quite as much of our attention, but we do see your chat. You're actually the people who are chatting the most at this point, and a little bit of For Whom the Day of Tolls. If you haven't seen that section over on World of Zwift, make sure to go and check it out. There's some of the best little moments here coming from Dave, actually, and good to see Pookie. We did see a Locust and the rest of the Twitch chat and all of them. We are live on Twitch, YouTube, as well as Facebook. So if that is one of your favorite platforms for all things streaming, make sure to head on over there and throw a follow to the ZCL page. And we will definitely keep an eye out for all your chatter as it does come through. Where did
Nathan,
OSS moment come through? When was the first time? Because like it's on like Donkey Kong is one of them is the longest standing. I feel like, but maybe not. Maybe you have one prior to that. You have to let us know.
I think Donkey Kong was the first signature one. That was the one that got the cease and desist letter from Nintendo. So that was sort of a.
Did it? You got? Did you really get one?
Oh yeah, it was based on the Amgen tour of California. But that's all now water under the bridge for sure. But I think the OSS thing comes from the movie Dazed and Confused. I believe the Matthew McConaughey character says something about Something along those lines. But I sure appreciate the support, Nathan. I wanted to go back what you were saying about Twitch. One thing, I didn't know much about Twitch until I became part of the Zwift community and getting to do these wonderful broadcasts with you. But Twitch that's where the hardcore gamers reside, I would have to say. This is Jane Despus that we're looking
somehow
at
we ended
right
up
now.
over in another somehow we ended up in another
This is Vienna
crowd
Espresso,
here.
right?
Yeah. So, well, I don't know what espressos, but somehow we ended up in the not A's all of a sudden. So we're gonna have to see if we can find the A's again, because suddenly we're in the not A's. So we'll jump around and see if we can get back in with our electrons are gonna help us out to get back in there.
Oh, there we go.
I think we had a disappearing moment, and then suddenly it was like, well, we'll just appear back wherever we can without losing everybody. But we're back in with the. It was good to see Jane for a second, though. That's one of the socks for Watts. All of a sudden, I'm looking over. I'm like, it's socks for Watts. Why are socks for Watts? They're not in this list here. Yeah, but they're probably doing a great job, as they always do.
I assume they're winning, unless I hear otherwise, right? They
yeah, true.
One of the most dominant squads in WTRL history.
Very, very true.
Well, we'll get these times here as it'll refresh. It's the real story is going to be second and third, what has happened there, or even add Crush Pod 2 into the mix. And see, we've been spending a decent amount of time with that, or we were with Z Scott, and they looked like they were pinning it. So it'll be interesting again to see, was that enough to overtake second place in ART, the Atom Racing Team Electrons? Never really do know. Evo Comets, though, have been outstanding today. That's who we're in with now, the fastest team out on course that time. They're now within a little more than a K until this one is put paid.
Yeah, let's see if we can look back and find where is the rest of the Evo crews out here. They're out here hammering away, but I'm not seeing them on course. We'll see if we can find them and get an idea of how things are playing out for them. As I look through the meteors, they are up ahead. Yeah, perhaps. I mean, amongst the Vienna Lattes, I'm actually not seeing the comments in our list right this second either. So perhaps they started in another category. Something maybe perhaps not showing up. We'll see if we can find the Comets, though, out on course. 45-13. They are obviously walking away with this one. Z Scott Alba with that 45.
Oh, there it is.
Holding over the top there of the Crush Pod.
Well, and you could see absolutely. Z Scott was flying, but so were Crush Pod 2. They actually were closing down on Z Scott here. It's going to be an incredible battle for the silver medal today, but no doubt about it, Evo Comets having an outstanding performance here, 45-13, the fastest time there at 30K, and they're going to be finishing here in the next few seconds.
The Rockies now to the line. This is going to be the Rock Hoppers. I absolutely love that they use that penguin. Very, very cool, actually, as the herd team makes their way to the line here.
Seems like a no-brainer from a marketing perspective, right? That penguin has...
that penguin was absolutely great.
It's money.
Absolutely great. Yeah, definitely. Loving it. And as we do have Cryogen here making their way to the line, we do see Evo going by on the other side as they're going to ramp up their sprint. And as they do, it is going to be Bivalt, the Meteors here now with Eldridge Jones and the rest. Salad to the line, 6.2 watts per kilogram coming from her. And another solid ride here coming from Evo. Crush Pod 2 now making their way into their final 2K as we start to get the riders are going to start disappearing. So we need to try and find everybody out on course. Z-Scott are going to get us back in with the riders as two guys are just ahead of them finishing up, or just behind them actually probably, because they just had three riders left. Graham now to the front as Prez McFarlane with her first, I think, ever WTRL TTT. I'd love to hear how things went with that for her. It's always interesting, when riders do their first ever TTT and they're like, what was that all about? Wow. Like, They come into a lot of times they'll come into a Discord chat and they'll be like, "So what are we doing? And how does this happen?" And we'll be talking and we're like, "Well, what Whopper kilogram are you holding? Wait, what are we trying to hold? Okay, it's always kind of like this, like eye-opening experience a lot of times. It's not
exhilarating, I would
yeah,
think.
very exhilarating, and also one of the hardest things they've ever done is usually what you'll hear afterwards.
Yeah, the satisfaction of finishing and accomplishing your goals out here is immense. Yeah, you don't see many athletes emptying the tank much more than you do here in the WTRL. This is going to be Chambord that we're with now. As we're, I was always wondering, this finish line being under the stone arch here, that was planned, right? To have that incredible natural arch.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely
So
was. But it is kind of like, where's the finish line? I do agree with that. I do agree with that. We have those who are not familiar with this, you kind of have to know, right? You have to be a part of the Zwift racing world in a little bit to know, oh, that's where the finish line is. But Gladding now with the Cryogen crew making their way to the line. I believe this is going to be Mockingbirds. I have a feeling that this is going to be the Mockingbirds. The Sparrows, I think. No, Mockingbirds have already finished. Excuse me. This is going to be the Sparrows. Sorry about that.
Oh,
As
got
you do
you
see
there.
the little red next to their name. Also, the Sparrows do have 7 that they started with. Look like they're going to get them all across the line together. Good on them with Gladding and the rest. To the front here, Kent, Wagner, Leroy, and Heidi. Solid result from them.
We've talked about how for some of the teams, that's part of the process is being able to finish as a unit. And that was a good job there by the Cryogen team. As you said, a couple of the Sparrows there, along with the Mockingbirds out racing today. This is going to be Crush Pod 2 and Alarson across the line.
And that will be the teams on the day. I think 2 guys, they're going to be the last team to finish up. We'll bring in the results here in just a moment. I really do want to highlight 2 guys for sticking it out with only 3 riders on the day. And Sousa here now leading them out, egging the rest of her team on here. So it does look like all of our teams have pretty much finished now at this point amongst the Vienna Lattes as we wait for results to come on in. I do think we're getting a little bit of a data reset. So thanks to Martin as he sits in the background and hangs out for us here to get all that ready to go. Again, Zwift Classics next week. If you haven't signed up, make sure to head on over. I believe it's going to be opened up over on WTRL.racing. I think Martin's probably going to be yelling at me right now for even saying that. And we'll let you know in just a moment. He'll probably let us know if signups are open here at this point. And Zwift Classics, though, starting next week. Super excited about that. Also, there's lots of things going on out on Zwift around the Tour de France. New in-game kit that is opening up as well. Be on the watch out for those announcements. For all that stuff, head on over to Zwift Insider, too, for latest reads on things that you can do that are in-game in conjunction with the Tour de France. Dave, you've got an awesome World of Zwift show coming up. It's launching this next week. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you bet. Well, yeah. So really excited. I was out in Truckee, California, where we recorded the first episode with Jeff Kabush, and that's been edited and is ready to go. It'll be part of. World of Zwift with OJ has really got a life of its own now. And I saw OJ just did a really cool gravel race. Well, looking to help introduce more of the folks that make up our Zwift community, I was able to travel around for the last month or so, and so Jeff Kabush is our first guest, and I'm not going to reveal who our second through 5th guests are, but they're names that you would know pretty well if you've been following along with our Zwift community, and really, really excited to help tell their stories. And yeah, it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun along the way. So look forward to that next week on World of Zwift.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Really, I'm excited to see a look into the lives of those who are a part of the community. Awesome.
Yeah, you get to see not only where they live, but what their Zwift station looks like. Jeff Kabush has the coolest garage of anyone that I've ever met in my life. He's a 3-time Olympian, but what's really cool about Jeff is not his athletic achievements. That's great, stands on its own, but he is a really bright guy with a great sense of humor who I don't know anyone who appreciates the bicycle more. He does all of his own. Well, he has a professional mechanic when he's racing, but Jeff would be a professional mechanic if need be. He can do it all and is into tools. And I mean, his house is basically cooler than most bike shops in America.
That sounds awesome. That sounds so
It's
great. I
neat,
can't
yeah.
wait. Everybody, if you want to see all that, that's going to be one of the coolest features I think we've ever had on Zwift in the world of Zwift. And so definitely check that out next week.
Okay.
Very exciting.
I can't help myself. I'm going to tell you the second guest already because they're editing the show, but V Win. We went to Seattle to meet V, and V has the coolest rooftop of her where she lives, of anyone that I have ever seen. If you follow my Instagram, you might have seen some photos from up top there. But every one of our guests has incredible things going on besides just the Zwifting. But in V's case, she's the V Everesting, virtual Everesting record holder right now. But that's certainly just one of many things that makes her an incredibly compelling story.
Absolutely awesome. These are going to be so great, Dave. I'm really glad you guys were able to do that. So you might have missed Dave here for a little while, but you get all of this awesome content coming out. So really, really great. Let's go ahead and take a quick look here at the results for today. WTRL TTT number 116. We're going to start in with the Dopios on the men's side of things. And it is going to be the Cryogen Castros of 46-18, followed by the Evo Warlords, both coming out of Zone 1. Things are cooling down, so they're heating up in the APAC region. So, things are getting pretty fast, I think, for all those in the lands down under when it comes to virtual racing. The World Elite Zwifters, presented by Oral 7, they're coming on through for third. It's going to be Vision, followed up by Z-Sun Hercules. They are in fifth right now with the zones that have gone. And for the Espressos Day.
Thanks, Nathan. Let's take a look at a 46-48 outstanding ride from Evo Espresso to take the win. Silver medal for the Cryogen Gulls. They were 35 seconds back. INC Euro Aliens, you can see it 47 seconds back. Good for the bronze. Then we've got Down and Dirty Vipers for fourth. The TSZ Waffles in fifth. Dirt Diggler in sixth. Valhalla Molnir in seventh. Eat Dirt for eighth. Z-Sun-R, the Red Dwarfs in ninth, and then Herd of Platypus. These are your 10 fastest times. As Nathan noted, not all of them were in Platinum League here. You can see the Euro Aliens racing out of Zone 3, Zone 1 for Dirt Diggler. So it's we're not done yet. Still more racing going on out on planet Earth today.
And in the Frappes, Adam Racing Photons come on through with a 48.30. It's going to be 48.37, only 6 seconds back for Kirchner Frappe. R3R ACDC coming through for third. Outsiders in fourth. Kirchner Frappe in fifth. The first ones out of Zone 1 and not in the Platinum League will be the Evo Warlords coming in sixth. Cryogen Pawaka Waka as more Pawaka Watts came through for 49.31. Almost a tie with UA Quarter Z. In for 8th. Z-Sun Saturn for 9th. It's going to be Euro Quarter 2 coming on through for 10th.
Let's take a look at Vikings Valhalla. We had a chance to watch them crush it out there today. A 51-10 was the winning time for the Lattes. Team ODZ, Destroyers of Cookies, coming in for the silver medal. And Eat Dirt 2 in Zone 1, but you can see they had the third fastest time. Out of the Platinum League, great to have the Zwift Indonesia Delta squad riding outstanding today with a 117 back for fourth. Tuga Zanata in fifth. Team Type 1 Lancets in at sixth. It's the RR Woolly Rhinos for seventh. TFC Lancaster in eighth. Cryogen Emus in ninth. And Grave rounds out our top 10 fastest times for the Lattes so far today.
In for the Mochas, the Sumatran Rhinos come through for first with, wow, huge gap back to Valhalla Drownvendel. Trying That's a really big gap. I wonder if perhaps we're going to have some looks at upgrades or what's happening there. 55. Well, no, that seems a Mocha time. Just they're dominating there. Valhalla Dragvado, the 58-28. They're followed up by TBR Renegades for third. It's going to be Z-Sun Nebula for fourth. Load Shedders in for fifth. It's going to be Engulf in sixth. Evo Flux Jaffa in seventh there. TFC Hurricane in eighth. Z-Sun Battle Geis in ninth, and it's going to be Cryogen Robbins for 10th. Now, they're very close racing, except for the Rhinos charging away on their flat course.
Let's take a look at our Vienna Espressos here with a 52.33. Good for the win for Toyota Cryo RDT. I saw that Cryo picked up that Toyota sponsorship. That's extremely cool. Let's take a look at our silver medal. It's a BBB silver today. 53.05 their time. Rounding out your top three, Sisu, I Race Like a Girl. They'll take the bronze with the.
That's new. I mean, usually it's Sisu at the top. That's a very different situation. I wonder what went down there. Perhaps Catherine Curry, a no-show on the day, or a couple of the top riders there. They started with 5. So, wow, interesting to see. Toyota
interesting for sure.
Yeah, big difference there. That might be something to think about, a marker to think about looking forward to the rest of the TTTs through the fall and into ZRL4, because if Cryo DT are ramping things up, they may be a new threat at the top. Sox Swats, Odd Sox there. 53-14, not even 1 second difference between them and the Pavlovas there. Wow, Crush Pod there coming on through for third. Aeonian Bravas for fourth. Wahula Cole. It's Toiles, they're coming in for fifth. We two guys Brisas, followed by TBR Smilon coming in for seventh in the Vienna Frappes.
Let's take a look at the Vienna Lattes then with Evo Comets. 55.22 was the fastest time. It was Z. Scott Alba. They did ride their way into the silver spot here for second today. Crush Pod 2 taking the bronze medal. That was all in the Platinum League. And then you can see out of Zone 8, Z Sun R Pluto with the fourth fastest time so far today. Atom Racing Team Electrons 5th. 6th going to Evo Meteors. 7th to the Rockies. 8th to WTRL Watts UPC. Cryogen Mockingbirds in 9th. Rav CC rounds out our 10 fastest times.
And finally in the Viennas, it's going to be Kirchmer coming on through. Kirchmer Vienna Latte there for the 56.41. Ionian Chica Locas there for second. It's going to be Kirchmer Vienna Latte 2 for third. BART Inferno Kittens for fourth. Then Z-Sun Hydra, they bring it in for fifth. Atom Racing Team Ions there for sixth. Rave C Euro in seventh. WTRL Drafting Dinos UK 2 and their UK 3 coming in for 8th and 9th. Evo Stars round out the top 10. And next week, we are out on the Knickerbocker. It's going to be 14.2 miles with a lot of climbing, though. It's New York. KOM right in the middle of it all. Mocha Vienna. It's going to be... Oh, we're doing Mocha Vienna. So we get to see the ultimate suffering, I think, next week. So make sure you're here for that. Number 117 in New York. So... jump in for Knickerbocker next week. Again, 8 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Central time is the last moments that you got to sign on up. So, well, Dave, thanks a lot. Great to have you back. We're going to be out here for Zwift Classics. Watch out for the scheduling of those streams. Anything else happening? Where are you heading? Are you heading anywhere in real life anytime soon? People out there looking for you.
Yeah, I'm going to Belgian Waffle Ride next week, but I won't miss any Zwifting or WTRL. So, yep, it was really good to be back. To tell you the truth, I missed WTRL much more than I thought I would. So, really, this community means a ton to me. So, thanks, Nathan. I'm always happy to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. I'll be at a couple of Wars races in Intelligentsia.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
So that's going to be happening.
You know what?
We're in real life.
Just wanted to say, you've been working so hard, with all the form that you've built up now. I really hope you have a great result out there. So,
yeah, I appreciate it.
Bike racing is tough. You never know what you're going to get, right?
It's really, really tough. And the reality of road racing, so tactical. On the mountain bike, it's show and go a little bit more. But the reality of road racing, Towle was an eye-opener to how the teams work over the field, that's for sure. But
Well,
a
you
lot
more
of
than
fun.
held your own at Toad, though. I heard some great things, and I saw you connected with a bunch of our friends like Timmy and Matt from Above and Beyond. That was really cool. And now you get to go back to your natural environment, the mountain bike course. So,
That's true. And that'll be a ton of fun. That'll be a ton of fun. So hopefully, maybe we'll see some of you out there if you're in the area. Otherwise, we'll see you next week for the Zwift Classics. And have fun, everybody out there that is enjoying the Tour de France. We are definitely watching along there. Make sure to connect with us on all the socials. Follow all the platforms. Myself, Dave, as well as ZCL, obviously, to get notifications and everything that we're up to. And we'll see you next week for the Zwift Classics. As always, everybody, right on.